So that's why your above the fold section, when your page first loads, is such prime real estate. And to not have something that can convert that visitor into someone you can contact anytime you want to, it's criminal.
You are now listening to the Creative Juice podcast, brought to you by IndiePRO.io.
What's up, Indies? Welcome back to the Creative Juice podcast. I am your co-host, Circa. With me, as always, is Jack. How's it going, Jack?
What's up, dude? Happy to be here.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful Tuesday. I'm excited to get into today's topic.
Yeah, so today's episode is going to be about something that almost every online business does, especially the successful ones. They do it quite well, but a crushing majority of artists, as you found out in your research, don't do, and probably has them leaving money, opportunities to talk to fans, all that stuff on the table. And we're hopefully going to fix that in this episode.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this, and I think that that's a great way to kick off. I'd like to share with you guys something that we've been doing just for fun because we're nerdy here at IndiePRO and at the IndieX agency. We just spent the last 2 months diving into website audits and marketing audits of artists on the Hot 100 chart, the Billboard Hot 100 chart. And we kind of wanted to see what's going on with some of these artists. What are they doing in their marketing? What are some things that they're doing well? What are some things that from the outside that we could see as fans and as marketing professionals, what they're doing well, what they could be doing better, and where are some of the areas that they might be missing, areas of opportunity. And there was a really interesting little fact that we found in doing website audits and marketing audits that I wanted to share with you today that I think is really relevant to what we're going to be talking about here. And that is that by looking at the websites of artists on the Hot 100 chart, these big artists that, you probably know their names, they're household name type artists with huge audiences, probably lots of people visiting their websites each and every day, lots of people go into their social media profiles. Only 26% of them, 26% of the artists that we studied in this little research round that we did had an apparent email list, text list, or any other subscriber list sign up on their website in either the above the fold section of the website, the section where, it's the first thing you see, the big epic piece of real estate that you can't miss and, you don't have to scroll to see, or in a pop-up format. And only 6% of the artists in this study had any kind of offer that they were actually making to their fans. The remainder of them all were just saying, subscribe or get updates. And there was really no compelling reason for a fan to sign up, or really no logical reason for a fan to sign up at all. Just a vague offer of updates or a somewhat abrasive command of subscribe. And this is something that isn't new and wasn't really surprising to me. But in 2023, I was a little bit hopeful that the numbers wouldn't be so low still to this day, that we weren't trying to build up lists of fans that we could contact kind of out there in the wild in music. So that kind of leads us to today's discussion. But yeah, Cirque, I was excited to share those numbers with you when I did, but I'm curious of your reflections on them because this is kind of the first time that we've debriefed on it, I think.
Yeah, well, not surprised. We did a series on our YouTube channel called Who Did This?, which is all about sort of auditing artist websites. And, since we started IndiePRO, it's been, and one of the reasons we did start IndiePRO is that it was glaringly apparent that this was done very poorly in the music industry. And kind of one of the first things you learn in digital marketing is like the money's in the list. Being able to email people is so important. Relying on other forms of contact is unreliable. And so if you can get people's email addresses, you can not only deliver them free value to build the relationship to where they feel comfortable, they know, like, and trust you, willing to transact with you, but also you don't have to really hope and pray that you're going to be able to reach them, because you can just send them an email at any time. There's a decentralized form of contact. And, so in digital marketing, they hammer it home, a lot of digital marketing is about getting leads, which is subscribers to your email lists, opt-ins as they're called. And, such a huge focus on that is placed in digital marketing. In the music industry, when you go to look, it's like, wow, no one's doing that. Like everyone's doing this really poorly. And so much so that like major artists, if they have an email sign up on their site, it's just like subscribe to get updates is literally what the text says. Whereas in digital marketing, we're taught like make a very valuable offer that people couldn't turn down. Free offer. Just sign up to the email list. You'll get all this. People will run ads just to get those email subscribers with that offer. And these people are getting free traffic flowing to their website and they're not capitalizing on it by turning it into email subscribers. And so even if you do go through all that, and even if you do take this terrible offer of get updates, the experience you have on the other side is awful. It's so bad.
Yeah. And I'd like to touch on that too. That was something else that I noticed was I actually opted in for the email list of every one of the artists on the Hot 100 chart in this in this research round that I was doing. And I was doing that for the purpose of seeing what kind of automation was going on the back end to find out. And similarly, you'll probably be unsurprised by this, 75% of the artists that I opted in for had either no automation at all, or what I would call inadequate automation, which was usually just a very simple welcome email with really no expectation setting, no delivery of anything at all, no real goodwill, sometimes not even a thank you. It was just like you're here, or like, that's it, and no follow-ups. That was 75% of the artists that I opted in for, which was unsurprising, but I was hoping that we would be doing a little bit better. But yeah, same kind of idea applies here. Is not only was the bribe to get people onto the email list hidden, missing altogether, or radically lacking, and then the back end was almost non-existent.
Yeah, so maybe it's worth it to just like touch on why email lists are so valuable. Is like number one, you can enact one of the 6 psychological principles of influence we talked about on a recent episode, is reciprocity. So typically, if I just give you something, you will feel indebted. You will want to reciprocate in some way. And so being generous, giving more than you get, is a great strategy in marketing. And so when you have someone sign up for a free offer, you're immediately enacting reciprocity. You gave them something free to sign up. And then the very first thing that they get when they sign up, you can build email automation so that, someone newly entering your list will get a dedicated series of emails before they start getting like any regular weekly emails or whatever that you're sending. And so there's like, you can build in a whole pathway to a first paid offer. So you can usually generate customers within a week of someone signing up to your email list. So you enact reciprocity. You can immediately try to go for some kind of transaction or sale to cement that relationship. And then 3, you can send out regular sales promotions on a monthly, a quarterly, or even a, biannual basis where you're taking something, you're running a sale, maybe discounting it down. And when you do that, typical benchmarks for the industry are around like $1 per subscriber, per month, which if you got 20,000 subscribers, like congratulations, you've got a pretty rocking business there. Record labels have millions of subscribers. These major artists, they have millions and they don't make a dime from them a month. And it's tragic. And the reason is like a lot of times when you sign up for like, X superstars email list, you're actually signing up for the label's email list. So not only are they not doing anything with it, but then you're going to get like unsolicited spam from like Universal or whatever.
Yeah, let me just raise my hand here and say how many record label emails I've been getting in the last 4 weeks. It's like, you want to hear about new music? And I'm like, not from you. It's really bad. And I did notice on a lot of artist websites that I signed up for, there will be check boxes that will be like, sign up for this artist, this artist mailing list. And also there's a checkbox for their label Sometimes there's a checkbox for 2 labels. I would always uncheck those. However, there was definitely a number of artists that didn't have those, and I'm still receiving emails from record labels. And it's just like, man, don't do that.
Yeah.
Please don't do that. Man, we could rage against that machine probably forever and talk about why that's just a terrible idea. Yeah, it's not great.
Not great. Yeah. And, the reasoning behind that is like oftentimes who built this website? Someone the label contracted. It's not the artist's team that built it. And that's probably why it's also shit. It's usually a terrible website. But yeah, like, so there's like not utilizing email marketing, not doing the things you should be doing. And then there's doing what they do, which is like the opposite of what you should be doing. It's like counterproductive. And so, one of the big things we harp on is like, let's set that right. Let's get artists doing smart email marketing, smart digital marketing to hopefully, get them to that place that most, digital marketing good praxis businesses are doing, which is getting lots of email subscribers, even passively, and then generating income with that subscriber list by making offers regularly. And that's kind of why we wanted to do this episode, is to debut a tool that we have in our resources library in IndiePRO that we use to make sure that you've ticked all the boxes for, passive email lead generation, subscriber generation.
Yeah, and I think we're going to kind of unpack what these processes sort of look like and how you can use them. And then we'll link to that resource in the show notes. We call it our permission safety net checklist. And it kind of goes through the process of planning a bribe that you can kind of spread out across your whole ecosystem. You can put it on your socials. You can put it on your website. You can put it in your Linktree page. It can really go anywhere that a sign-up link could go. And then how to plan out that bribe, where to put it, how to set up an opt-in funnel, a landing page, a form, and how to structure the emails that go into the follow-up after someone signs up. And this can really put you leaps and bounds ahead of what most other artists are doing or emulating kind of out there in the wild from what we're seeing. So we'll link to that in the show notes so that you guys can check it out. Like we said, it's free. It's part of our resources library inside of IndiePRO. This is kind of a freebie for you as a Creative Juice listener. If you're not already an IndiePRO member, we hope that you dig it. But I want to real quick, before we dive into kind of the thought processes behind this checklist and what it's designed to help you do, I want to touch back on something you said, Cirque, with regards to using email to make money, to generate revenue in your business, and just kind of circle back to something that we do with a lot of our clients at IndieX, especially artists that have large audiences already, where we do tend to see these deficiencies that I outlined and saw in my research. It's like, with so much traffic and so much opportunity, a lot of times with the types of artists that we work with at the agency, where, they're coming on board to build up an e-commerce operation, an e-commerce revenue stream, or build upon one that's already existing and optimize it. One of the biggest opportunities that we see is a chance to flood them with new email subscribers relatively quickly. It's usually something that we do within our first month. And in order to do that, we typically have to get beyond the subscribe now or get updates here and move into building a content series. And a lot of times it's based on content that we already have. And then we use that to run a sales promotion, like you mentioned, Cirque. That's usually one of the first things that we do immediately after getting a flood of new email subscribers. And what we like to do is we like to do it for free. I'll link back to a couple episodes that we've done previously on this process and some case studies so that you guys can check that out and sort of see where this lives in the context of sort of active marketing campaigns. But what we're going to talk about here is also something that can just kind of live evergreen in your marketing stack, and can be really helpful to just getting subscribers for free on autopilot, just because people are searching for you or they're interacting with you online, which I think is pretty cool. But important to stress that these can be used both in an active and a passive way.
Yeah. So kind of the first step before we actually go over this checklist, the reason we use this checklist is like, first step is having a can't resist offer. in order to, like, a free offer, like, you're going to get this for free when you sign up for the email list. And typically in digital marketing, this is taught as like, you want this to be so good that someone might pay to get it. Like, it seems like something you'd pay to get. You know, we have tons of free offers on IndiePRO that we give away, including this permission safety net checklist. So we'll typically spend time and money to craft something we're going to give away for free. So, you know, maybe you can't do that as an artist. Maybe, you know, like, it's not something that would necessarily be bought for a large dollar amount, but the closer you can get it to that, the better. So you want to really think up what's a really value-packed offer if someone's a fan of my music, that it's something they want, that's something they'll actually be thankful to get. In the past, like, you know, back in the 2010s, like, the common thing to do was like free downloads. But now we have streaming. So free downloads have kind of lost their oomph in terms of, you know, a value proposition. So maybe you want to get a little bit more creative than that. In our Ultimate Album Launch campaign that we run pretty frequently, we're giving away like a whole album with behind the scenes content, all types of stuff. It doesn't have to be that extensive, but do your best to think about what kinds of offers you could make, something really cool that your fans would actually want. So that's number one. And this is all sort of, you know, if you're an IndiePRO member already, this is detailed in our Grow Your Email and Text List training. And then a lot of what we're going to talk about is detailed in our Email Marketing for Musicians training. So just a heads up for our IndiePRO members, if you want to learn in depth about that, you can go to those trainings. But yeah, it's just to say that you want to start off with a really can't resist offer that if I'm a fan of your music, I'm definitely going to want this thing. Once you have that offer, there's two ways that you can get subscribers with it. One is you can go out to warm traffic, so to speak, which is retargeting, basically running ads against your existing audience. So you're showing ads to your existing audience, whether that be someone who's subscribed to you on, you know, YouTube, someone who follows you on Instagram, someone who's interacted with your post, someone who's visited your website, those kinds of people. And we do that pretty frequently. We run lead ads, where the goal is to get someone to subscribe to your email list. But over the long term, you know, the next 2 to 3 to 5 years, you could be getting a lot of subscribers as long as this offer is placed where fans are likely to see it and interact with it. And that's kind of why we get so pissed when we see these websites, is that, like, your prime real estate, where if I'm on your website, I'm a fan. Like, I didn't just end up there. People don't just go to websites anymore.
Yeah, you're not just wandering into artist websites.
Yeah, you didn't just stumble in by accident. So that's why your above the fold section, when your page first loads, is such prime real estate. And to not have something that can convert that visitor into someone you can contact anytime you want to, is criminal. So this checklist is all about taking that offer once you got it and putting it in all the prime real estate so that passively over the next few years, you can collect lots of subscribers. Anytime someone becomes interested in you, they're likely to run into, you know, your best offer.
There's a couple places that come to mind in addition to, like, a website above the fold, right? You can think about if you have a bridge page or a link tree or something like that on your Instagram or in your TikTok bio, have it there. If you have a Facebook page and your cover photo, you can link out to it there. You can link out to it on the call to action button on your profiles. That can be a really strong place to put it, just where people are going to naturally kind of wind up clicking. All of those sorts of things are kind of strong ways to do it. Another thing you can do is you can have it in your pinned posts. So if you have a post that's pinned to, you know, the top of your profile, whether that be on IG or somewhere else, if you've got a post that's kind of pinned to your Facebook page, that's all prime opportunity. I guess it's helpful to think about real estate outside of your website as well, where people interact with you and what they might look at first. And as much as you can point people to taking a next step with you, that's kind of the big idea behind this, is like, if somebody's not just wandering onto your website, right? They're going there intentionally. The best thing you can do is give them a high value next step to do. And for you personally, I think a high value next step is getting their contact info so that you can, you know, communicate with them, so that you can make offers to them. That's way more valuable than just having, out now, my new single, wasting space on your website. Because realistically, if they're on your website, they already know that your new single is out now, and they've probably already streamed it a bunch of times. So getting them to click over for one more stream for that little bit of money that you're going to get from it, not really worth it.
Yeah. So to just clarify, this tool that we have, the Permission Safety Net Checklist, it's going to walk you through all of the steps getting up to placing what we call a permission bribe, which is you're bribing someone to give you permission to contact them through email. And so it's not just about where you place it. This includes tasks that you're going to want to check off in terms of developing that offer or that bribe, and then creating a landing page where people can sign up for it, building your email automation that happens after they sign up, so you have emails going to them automatically thereafter, and then going so far as to build a whole funnel. So, okay, I go to your landing page, step 1. I sign up and I'm brought to a thank you page, step 2. Now that thank you page, it could have an offer on it for something paid. Usually the best time to make a paid offer to someone is right after they signed up for a free offer, as it turns out. So you might have a whole funnel going on there, and then just testing out the funnel, finalizing the copy, making sure everything looks good, and then installing it across your ecosystem. Your ecosystem includes things like your Instagram bio, your Facebook page, your TikTok bio, wherever on social media, any YouTube videos or your channel, having CTAs across all of these assets, and then especially your website. If you don't have like a main offer on your website and it's just like a big picture of the band, which guys, stop doing that. Stop using gigantic hero images on your website. Like, people know what you look like if they're at yourbandname.com. So it's kind of unnecessary. A more ideal would be to have that support some kind of offer you're making. So having it front and center above the fold on your website, all these things are super important. So, this checklist doesn't necessarily go into all the nitty gritty of how to do each step. We have trainings for that. We have other resources for that. But this is a great sort of outline of all the steps involved and where you want to end up.
Yeah, I think it's really helpful for also auditing, if you've been in our world for any length of time, you've probably heard us talk about these concepts. We've certainly talked about growing a list, whether it be email. That's something we didn't mention, is that all of this can apply to email as much as it can apply to text message marketing, SMS marketing, or really any kind of subscription-based marketing that you might do in the future. WhatsApp, Messenger, it kind of all applies here, which is cool. These are digital marketing principles that could transcend email if we ever get to a time where email is not working anymore. It's working. It's going to continue to work, but that's neither here nor there. I think it's helpful to keep that in mind. It's helpful to look at this also as an auditing tool to say, okay, I've been listening to Jack and Circa and Ed and the IndiePRO gang talk about this stuff for a while. I think I'm in a good place, but let me just check against this tool. It's a helpful thing to kind of see, what have I been doing? What about it is working or isn't working, and what can I tweak up and make better? I think it's really helpful for that reason as well.
Yeah. There's a number of other tools we have that can supplement here. We have our email automations template pack, where we sort of have templated out all the different email automations, including what we call an introduction sequence, which is the first set of emails someone would receive after signing up to your list for the first time. Or text, could be text, but with text you typically have less space for words. You have less copy. But yeah, there are other tools that you can use to sort of supplement this journey. But ultimately you want to end up in a place where basically, if I just found out about you and I dig your music, what is my likely first destination? Probably your social media, probably Spotify, probably your YouTube channel, probably your website. So these are all places where you could be putting your main offer. And instead of just getting a passive visitor who you can never directly talk to again, you can convert them into an email subscriber. Ultimately, this should be your entire goal, is taking that passive audience where they're deciding based on like if they just happen to be thinking about it at the time when they interact with you, and turning it into an active audience where you can reach out to them directly and you can communicate with them directly. The advantages are you can't count them all. There's so much better position to be in to have actual people you can reach out to and talk to versus just hoping and praying that they come to your site or your social media and see the right thing at the right time.
Dude, I think that's such a really great way of putting active versus passive and what you can do with a list of people that you can contact directly. That's such a great way of putting it from the standpoint of building up a list literally allows you to initiate the conversation, as opposed to your fans needing to react to something you do on the internet that you're hoping hits the right way, that it reads the right way to them, that they see at the right time, that they're not just waking up and scrolling past or falling asleep as they're scrolling past it. This really allows you to initiate conversations, and that's why we talk about building up contact lists. It really does allow you to take your audience and bring it to a place where you're a bit more of a controlling party. It goes from being a maybe lopsided 25-75 sort of relationship where you're relying on people to communicate with you first to a place where you've got a little bit more control, where there can be conversation. I think that the benefits of that kind of can't be underlined enough.
Yeah. Musicians, I think by and large, are not familiar with the sort of the benefits profile of direct contact. But ultimately, you're trying to create a relationship with people to where they feel like they know you, to where you're a part of their lives in some way. And you can do that with just music. Like, I'm not here to say you can't, but you can much more actively and directly do it by just providing, frequent communication. And relationships are really the sum total of the interactions that you've had. So it's about the quality of the interaction. It's about the volume and frequency of the interaction. With an email list, like Ed emails his lists like once, twice a week, like multiple times per week. Like he's out there.
Multiple times a week, really. I mean, one at the minimum.
Yeah.
Usually 2 to 3 times, depending on what they have going on. We're planning a sales promotion right now for the 502s, and, it's going to be 3 emails this week in addition to everything else that they're doing with a tour that's coming up and a music video that's coming out tomorrow. So yeah, we're looking at 4 emails this week.
Right. And so only a small fraction of these emails are like, hey, this thing's available. Buy it if you want it. Like a broad majority of them are just a, hey, how you doing? Happy whatever day it is, and, here's some free content or here's some free access. He's constantly giving more than he gets from his email list. And that's what having an email list is all about. He's developing a relationship day by day with his email subscribers by sending communication that's not expressly about some sales promotion. And the problem with a lot of artists' email lists is that they're sending, like, I'm on Post Malone's list. I get 1 email from him a year. It's when I can buy a hoodie and listen to a new song. So it's all him really asking me to, it's not him directly, it's his record label, but they're asking me to do something for him, and I haven't talked to him in a year. So, it's an example of what not to do and what email lists are not for. Email lists are really great for developing familiarity and, goodwill with your audience.
We should do another episode where we just audit emails that are coming through. Now that I'm on so many email lists, we should absolutely do another one of those. That would be so much fun.
Nightmare fuel.
Just a healthy little roast, a little constructive criticism. Never hurt anybody. No, I think this is just really good stuff to get into. And I would encourage you, if you're new to any of this and you're thinking about it for the first time, I've become pretty averse to the term newsletter, which is something that a lot of artists still use.
Terrible.
But I want to touch on something that I think is interesting here. If you pay attention to content creators, specifically good content creators on YouTube, influencers, things like that, outside of music, there are some people that do a really good job of making soft offers towards email list subscription, and sometimes they even still call it a newsletter. I'll shout out one in particular. I follow a YouTube channel called Minority Mindset. It's a financial YouTube channel. The dude who is the host, his name is Jaspreet Singh. He's great, and in every YouTube video he does, in every episode, there's at least one, if not two, calls to action for his what he calls a newsletter. He calls it market briefs, and he pitches it on every YouTube episode, and he says it's a free newsletter where my team breaks down it's a daily newsletter. It breaks down what's happening in the financial markets, what's happening in crypto, real estate, so on and so forth, so that you can be educated. And he has this beautiful, 2-sentence script that he uses to pitch this newsletter, and it's so good. And he's got a name for the newsletter. And I think that that's the difference here that I wanted to bring up, is they're not just saying, subscribe to my newsletter for updates. He's saying this is market briefs. It's a free newsletter about this stuff so that you can have X, Y, Z and be a more educated investor and in a good place with your personal finance. Every time I hear him say that, I'm just like, man, this guy really knows how to pitch his email list well. Makes me want to sign up for it. I think that's great. You can pay attention to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a free product, basically.
Right, exactly.
You get direct value out of it. Yeah, and
so if you're going to say newsletter, at least give it a cool name.
Yeah, I mean, newsletters have seen such a huge resurgence over the past 2 years. Newsletters like The Hustle and Daily Grind and stuff like that. They're really products that are productized. Some of them are paid. In the era of Substack, some newsletters are paid.
Right.
That they're known in marketing as owned media, which is really speaks to the fact that you own your email list. You don't own your TikTok following. TikTok can take it away from you at any time or, charge you to access it, which has happened many times. It's known as the slap. There's the Facebook slap of 2008, I want to say, or 2010. And there was the Instagram slap and the YouTube slap. And there will be more slaps coming down the road. So
we're looking real red in the face over here.
Yeah. So owned media is media you own. It's your newsletter. It's your text list. It's your email list. If you don't have it, you're at a significant disadvantage. So much so that if you were to be valued by a private equity company, you'd be valued less without owned media. So, artists need to be aware of it. They need to be benefiting from it, and they need to be gathering owned media by generating subscribers.
And nurturing it. We didn't even touch on that. Nurturing that owned media as you get it, keeping those people in the loop with what you're doing, onboarding them properly into your world, into contact with you. That's so important. It's it would be like getting the phone number of a friend or someone that you want to go on a date with and then not texting them.
Yeah. In the past, we've, I think, made the mistake of not emphasizing that email lists are a function of product sales.
Right.
Text lists are a function of product sales. And maybe it'd be less intelligent for you or less strategic for you to build an email list before you have a product to offer. Might be better to have something you can offer and then build the email lists around, okay, well, before someone's willing to purchase this, they need X, Y, and Z. How can I fulfill that through an email list? And that way you're building towards the ultimate goal of generating a sale. And your email list is an engine for producing revenue for your business and for your career. But I would say that one is not miles ahead of the other. You kind of want them to arrive in tandem.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It shouldn't be an endless process of trying to figure out how to get leads and then do nothing with them. Otherwise, you're just building up a list for no reason, which is kind of the problem that we're trying to solve here at day one. I think if we could sum up what we've talked about today, it's how can we make newsletters great again? And how can you do a better job of getting more subscribers for free to start? I think that's a really good sort of 30,000 foot view of everything that we were talking about today. Like we said, we'll link to the permission safety net checklist in the show notes so that you guys can check it out. It's free. I hope you guys dig it. And this was a lot of fun, dude. We'll have to do a little email roast in a future episode. But I hope you guys dug this. We'll catch you next time on Creative Juice.
We'll see you.
Peace out, Indies.
East Coast, West Coast, say what?